Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I have dreams about mass killings.
Could her son,
The terrorists seem like heroes to him.
take innocent lives?
He has flat out told you that he could walk into a store or a school and kill everybody there.
Yes.
Once you kill that first person, the rest would not be hard at all.
Authorities arrest him and stop the interview.
The system is walking all over him. This is what will push my son over.
Then
It's the worst mass killing in the United States in 3 years.
they lost their loved ones in the tragic shooting in San Bernardino.
I pray to God that this doesn't happen to anyone else.
How do you feel about the people that pulled the trigger?
Their heartbreaking struggle to move on.
We made a pact where we wouldn't tell each other goodbye because we know we would always see each other again. Now I can't tell, baby girl. See you later.
Look around at the people around you right now. Look to your left and look to your right. In this day and time, we all have to think about and be aware of who we are around when we are out in public and certainly in a crowd. The sad truth, our new reality, is that there may very well be, hell, we know there are predators among us. That's the horrific truth the world has been dealing with. Mass shootings by seemingly normal-looking strangers with a hidden vendetta. What makes someone do something like this? Are there signs? Were there signs in San Bernardino, California, where 14 people were murdered and 21 injured just last week? Or the Planned Parenthood office in Colorado? And you know what? It's getting worse. Think about Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, Fort Hood. The incidence rate has doubled since 2007 to over 16 mass shootings per year in America. Are there warning signs to watch for? We're going to talk about all that today and give you very important and just maybe life-saving information. Now, we received a letter from a mother, Karen, who was absolutely beside herself because she felt like she was one step away from this very type of tragedy happening in her own life. She says she wanted help, but no one would listen. I've said this many times before, that sometimes the people in the best position to recognize if someone is a danger to others is their own family. Relatives are the ones who have the opportunity to observe and recognize the people closest to them who need help. Karen says she recognizes the signs in her 23-year-old son, Andrew, and claims, quote, "My son told me he would kill me at least 10 times. She says, "My son says he created a hit list with 8 to 10 people on it. Quote, he says he sometimes feels like he could go in a store and start shooting at random." She says, quote, "My son is fascinated by mass killers. He can tell you every one of the terrorists that were on the planes in 9/11. Even though Karen says her cries for help were not heard by others, she still reached out to me, and I did listen.
When Andrew was 8 months old, I adopted him. When Andrew was in kindergarten, he got upset with the little boy, and he told him he was going to go home and get his BB gun and come back to school and kill him. When Andrew was 7 years old and 14 years old, he was hospitalized for a suicide attempt. At the time, he was being bullied, and he told his ROTC instructor that he just felt like going DT, Virginia Tech, on the kids. Later on, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Andrew says he has a good Andrew, and then he has a bad Andrew. But sometimes the bad Andrew overrules the good Andrew. My relationship with Andrew is rocky. He's very disrespectful. He makes threats to me. One time, Andrew stabbed all my mom's furniture. That was how he paid me back for being mad at me. In 2013, Andrew broke into my horse trailer and he stole my guns and ammunition. I tried to get him to return the guns and he wouldn't come back. This was recently after the Sandy Hook incidents. Me being a school teacher, everyone was very aware that it had the potential to be another school shooting.
An entire school system placed on lockdown because this man had a gun in the area.
The next day, Andrew called me at school. I kept him on the phone until the police could locate him.
Tonight, 21-year-old Andrew Brown is in jail.
I honestly thought that my son had the potential to walk into a school and murder innocent people. Andrew's always had a fascination where a large number of people were killed. I've even seen my son dress up like the Columbine shooters. They almost seem like heroes to him. I don't want to leave this world without knowing that I've done everything I can to help my son.
Well, if you're wondering whether or not Karen is just melodramatic and overreacting, let's just hear what Andrew has to say from his own mouth.
I have thoughts of killing random people. I don't want to go to a school and shoot up kids or hurt myself, but I don't know if I could stop myself. I study everything that happens in mass killings from Pearl Harbor to the Holocaust, Columbine, Virginia Tech, and the war of September 11th. I've studied how to make pipe bombs in the past. I've actually pretty good at it over the years. Columbine and Virginia Tech, I do believe that those people that did that were very misunderstood and very picked on, and I can relate very well to that.
We're going to hear more from Andrew later and find out why the police took him away during our interview. But first, when I heard of Karen's issue, I got my resource department involved. And I told them that I would only do this show if we had an intensive psychiatric treatment for Andrew in place. And what I meant was, there are some guests that I see here that I consider to be high risk. And so I only agree to see them if I have an arrangement made where they go from this stage to an intensive inpatient psychiatric treatment center, or I won't see them. Now, Karen, it's hard for a mother to admit to themselves, to say out loud, to even pick up the phone and call the police and say, I believe my son is potentially a mass murderer. I believe he could go into a school or a mall or a store and kill everybody there.
Hard's not even a word that could describe it. To know that your child has that potential, it's terrifying, but even more so, not to try to do something about it.
He has flat out told you that he could walk into a store or a school and kill everybody there.
He has. He's told me that on more than one occasion.
In talking to Andrew, he said something interesting. He said it was important to him to kill innocent people. Mm-hmm. Why has he said this to you?
His reply is, if I can kill innocent people, no reason that these people should die, that creates an enormous amount of pain. And even the people that don't know the people that are killed feel that pain and that emptiness when these mass shootings occur. He said then they can understand my pain, because I feel like my son, as well as most of these mentally ill people that are doing the mass shootings, they're in such an enormous amount of pain, and there's no medication and there's no way for them to express it. And
so he identifies with these people, and these are the homicidal thoughts that he has had. He says he needs to take other people out to relieve his pain, that there are homicidal thoughts, that he is obsessed with studying mass murderers, that he dreams of killing strangers at a party, that a hit list of 8 to 10 people, and fears he'll commit mass shootings if he has access to guns.
Right. In the last, the Oregon shooting, I guess it was, I said, I just don't understand. I understand mental illness and I understand the pain associated with it, but I don't understand why you just don't take yourself out to a quiet, lonely place in the woods and end it. And he said, you can't, because if you do that, then no one's ever going to understand your pain. But if you do it to innocent people in large numbers, then they have that pain, and then they see what you're going through.
So you said if you feel like you have to do something, do it to yourself?
Well, I was just saying I was referring about these people, not him necessarily, but, you know, if they just want to die, go take care of yourself and end your life.
Karen says she is afraid of her son, Andrew, and the reasons are that he has this fascination with mass shootings, that he absolutely idolizes these Columbine killers. He stole 3 guns that resulted in schools being locked down in the area. And this next point was chilling to me. You were in the grocery store with him, and this was just, a few weeks ago?
Less than 2 weeks ago. We walking aisle to aisle, and he was just like, just look, Mom, look at all these people walking around shopping. He said, I just can think about myself just going aisle to aisle and just taking them out. And I said, but son, these are innocent people that are just in here buying groceries. And he said, I know, but that's when you do it.
If I had a gun right now, I could take them all out. So he's there, like, looking at these targets.
Yeah, people he doesn't know, young people, old people.
Well, during our interview with Andrew at their home, Andrew was taken away by the police. We were there as the drama unfolded. We're going to show you what happened after the break.
I have dreams about mass killings. Once you kill that first person, the rest of it would just roll along.
He's arresting my son because he doesn't want him to be on the Dr. Phil show. Don't say anything. This is what happens, and this is why mentally ill people do the things they do.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
You wrote me 63 emails.
I was desperate.
A May-December marriage.
I'm 26 years younger than Dawn.
With issues.
She says you get mad, stomp your feet, and put your fingers in your ears.
That keep stacking up.
Are you a hoarder?
I don't think I'm a hoarder.
He is. I'm on top of it.
I'm acknowledging I have a problem.
No, you're not. You said she's just a neat freak. You need to stop talking and listen.
That's tomorrow.
You are not in charge, my friend.
I'm in charge of what I can do. Yes, I am. I have the control of where my hands aim and where my finger pulls the trigger. I can control that very much.
I don't want to hear it.
You don't have to hear it. It'll be on the news.
That was the voice of 23-year-old Andrew, who has threatened to go on a shooting spree for years. His mother, Karen, says she has tried to get her son help to no avail, so she turned to me. A few days ago, we sent a camera crew to interview Andrew at Karen's home. While we were there, he was arrested by authorities who placed him in a van. Take a look.
He's arresting my son because he doesn't want him to be on the Dr. Phil show. He's on my private property. He can film what he wants to film. I want the nation to see this. Don't say anything. You see what happened? You see why I call? You see why I have to fight all the time? And then they wonder why mentally ill people want to shoot police, because they do things like this to people that can't help it. Stuff like that where there's no compassion. This is what happens, and this is why mentally ill people do the things they do. You see, he's been pushed to his limit. They wouldn't even let him finish the taping, like he's going to escape. Escape from where? To what? I hope the whole country sees what just happened. They took my son in for not answering check-in calls. Consistently. We haven't consistently had internet service. And without internet service, we don't get phone service. You don't think they showed up right now today? They knew yesterday. They knew last night he missed phone calls. They did all this is coming. When they put people in jail, they promised him he was going to have therapy. They promised him he would get on his medications. They promised him that he could go to school. He spent 19 months and 3 days in there, and not one person tried to counsel him. This is why young people go off the deep end. You don't think if my son gets a gun He's not going to go and just randomly take out some authority figures. This is what will push my son over. I'm telling you, this is going to push him over.
Well, let's hope that's not true. And if he does something, it'll be his choice. It won't be in reaction to this. It'll be his choice. But you think what happened? You think they were there then? Why?
I think that in this particular instance, they appeared to me to be trying to prevent him from having access to you and having access to some resources and help.
Why would they not want him to get help?
Their main interest seems to be in continuing to recycle them through the closed doors. You know, when I would visit my son in prison and see kids released, they'd say, well, see you later, see you in a few weeks, see you in a few months. You know, there is nothing when they walk out the doors in place to try to make it different for them.
Well, shortly after Andrew was taken into custody, we received a statement from Georgia County of Community Supervision that read in part, quote, "We believe in providing offenders under our supervision the opportunity to make positive changes while in the community through individual support programs and assistance. However, the safety of Georgia's communities is our utmost concern. Earlier today, Mr. Brown violated the terms of his community supervision. After becoming aware of Mr. Brown's violations, our officers acted swiftly in the interest of public safety and took him into custody. While Mr. Brown is in custody, our officers will further investigate his violations and assess his risk to the community." Now, the complete statement will be on drphil.com. I work with law enforcement all over the country. I mean, they swear if you'd cut me, I would bleed blue. And I don't believe that law enforcement has a conspiracy to recycle criminals. I don't think they have a conspiracy to keep your son from getting help. I don't think that officers at one level always look at the big picture, because that's not their mandate. Their mandate is to execute whatever warrant or whatever court order they have in their hands. My experience is that law enforcement folks in general are good people that put themselves in harm's way every day to keep the rest of us safe, and I'm damn appreciative that they do. I just have to tell you. Do they always make the right decision? Of course not. And I don't know what the timing was about here, but I do know this. You yourself believe that your son is a threat to the community. Before he was taken to jail, Andrew revealed his inner thoughts on what he claims drives him to think about killing and why he feels he could end up being a mass murderer. Now, let me tell you why I'm showing you this. If you go back and look at some of the most significant mass murders that have taken place, you'll find out that these folks telegraph what they're getting ready to do. These are not people that just come out of the blue. You always say, well, you know, we had no clue. Yes, there were clues if people would just pay attention and bring it to people's attention, like Karen here. Columbine, they threatened students on the website. They showed videos themselves using the gun. Aurora, Colorado, James Holmes, he talked about a future and presented a notebook full of details about he was going to kill people. Virginia Tech, 1,800-word manifesto. But listen to some of the things he had to say.
I have thoughts of killing random people. I feel like I'm not in control of my actions. I call that other state of mind my other half. I have dreams about mass killings. I study everything that happens in mass killings, from Pearl Harbor to the Holocaust, Columbine, Virginia Tech, and Aurora, September 11th. I've studied how to make pipe bombs in the past. I'm actually pretty good at it over the years. Columbine and Virginia Tech, I do believe that those people that did that were very misunderstood and very picked on, and I can relate very well to that. I felt mentally troubled. I'd say it started at 7. I tried to kill myself at 7 by hanging myself from my bunk bed with a drop cord. I was going through some things at school. I've been picked on from day one. I feel that I was depressed. Every time that I pull a trigger for that first time, you get tense, and after that, you can just keep shooting. So I feel that it would be the same way with people. Once you kill that first person, the rest of it would just roll along. The evil side of me wants to make everybody pay for the pain that I've been put through for the majority of my life. I don't want to go to a school and shoot up kids or hurt myself, but I don't know if I could stop myself.
You know, that has to be heard. It has to be taken seriously. Karen says she has reached out for help for years, and no one has listened. I have, and I'll tell her what I think should happen when we come back. Today I've been talking to Karen, whose 23-year-old son, Andrew, has not only threatened to kill her and her partner, Kay, but Andrew has also admitted that he thinks, talks, and dreams about going on a shooting spree, killing innocent people just so they could feel his pain. Now, you know, we're obviously talking about this because we're having an increasing incidence of these things happening in America. Now, some of these happen for reasons of personal pain within individuals. Some of them are categorized as terrorist attacks, like we've just had in San Bernardino. Others are religious or ideological. And I want to talk about the profile of these mass murderers. Mass murders tend, not always, but tend to be young males. They tend to act alone. They're usually carefully planned and prepared, which means they're premeditated. They think about it. They're often resentful about real or imagined rejections. So somehow or another, they feel like they've been victimized. They tend to ruminate on past humiliations. They have a long-standing fascination with weapons. They have paranoid worldviews. They have chronic feelings of social persecution, envy, grudge holding, anger, and entitlement. They're often tormented by beliefs that others are enjoying life while he must be a loner on the outside looking in. They long for power and revenge, and there's a deep despair, a fury and selfishness. And there's fantasies about violent revenge that will draw attention. And they seek to destroy others for failures to recognize and meet his needs. Now, they views events as payback. They may kill family members, pseudo-community that he believes has mistreated him, and there's no escape plan. They expect to die. They don't expect to come out of these things alive. And once they pass the threshold where that's okay with them, they become inherently dangerous because there's no escape plan, because they don't plan to escape. And when they're willing to give their life to attain the things that we've just listed, then it's very difficult to have security against them. And, you know, this is Kay, Karen's partner. Kay, you've watched this for a number of years now. You take his threats very seriously, correct?
I do take them seriously. I don't think they're imminent, but I do take it serious, yes.
Yeah, and you believe he's willing to die as in the process?
I think he's in so much pain that he is willing to die. He just doesn't have the guts to kill himself.
Yeah.
I've known Andrew for 5.5 years. He's very frustrated, angry young man.
A lot of people have to die to equal out to what I've been through. 23 alone just for each year that I've been alive. 90 for the 90 days I've been out on parole.
He fantasizes about guns. Andrew will get a gun in the future. He talks about his plans to commit a mass murder. I want Andrew to get some real help. He's admitted that he's very unhappy and he has a lot of dark thoughts.
Do you not think you could wake up in the night at any point and he could be standing there ready to kill you?
I don't think he's at that point yet.
When he was little, he would roam around at night when I would try to go to sleep, and I would wake up sometimes and he would be standing over my bed, and it did make me feel uncomfortable, so I got a dog so that would wake me up first. And we do have concerns about this whole situation, and now that it's gotten more complex, and we both do carry weapons on us at all times to protect ourselves from our own son.
Here's what's going on inside his head.
I have dreams about mass killings and things of that nature, and it just kind of makes me think I could, in a sense, do something like that if I had the material, if I had the time frame to plan something out of that nature.
At this point, as much as you don't want it to be the case, your son, while incarcerated, is not out committing a mass murder.
Absolutely.
So he is under 24/7 supervision at this point, so that's not all bad.
No, it's not.
What you have to do is work diligently within that system. You have to do that through your legislators, your congressmen, the head of the penal system, everybody involved, because putting him in a cage 23 hours a day will do nothing but build anger. That will come bubbling up once released. You have to use the help on the outside. None of us here want him locked up and then turned out more angry than he was when he went in.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's my greatest fear now.
We want to make sure that while he's there, as much is done as possible. We don't want him to become a headline. We want him to become a contributor, not a headline.
Yes.
We had plans, and those plans will stay in place. And if we can get him released, then we'll pick up where we left off. Okay?
Thank you.
This past week, the country has been struggling to understand why a married couple would barge into an office party in San Bernardino, California, and shoot innocent people, killing 14 and injuring 21. We have relatives of some of the deceased here today who say they all have messages they want the public to know. We'll talk to them next.
Now we have two suspects, both dressed in black.
It's the worst mass killing in the United States in 3 years.
Became all so real when we had to lock ourselves in the conference room.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. Her husband's much older.
He blew up at me because I was bagging groceries the wrong way.
But is he more mature?
She says you get mad, stomp your feet, and put your fingers in your ears.
That's tomorrow.
Shooting horror in San Bernardino.
Having one suspect so far, male in black clothing. He's still firing rounds.
14 people are dead and 17 others are injured after they were shot inside the Inland Regional Center.
Relax, everyone. Relax. I'll take a bullet before you do. That's for damn sure. Just be cool, okay?
The FBI says it is investigating today's mass shooting as a possible terror attack.
2 suspects later tracked down, then killed in a shootout with police.
CBS 2 has identified the male suspect as Saeed Farouk. He worked for the San Bernardino County Health Department. We're getting our first look at the female shooter, Tashfeen Malik.
I don't have words to express how sad and how devastated I am.
The threat from terrorism is real, but we will overcome it. We will destroy ISIL and any other organization that tries to harm us. We will prevail by being strong and smart, resilient and relentless.
Well, it seems like mass shootings in our country have unfortunately become more commonplace. 27-year-old Sierra was inside the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino that day, expecting to receive an Employee of the Year award during a holiday party. She ended up losing her life and leaving behind a close family, which includes her father, Gregory, stepmother, Kimberly, and sister, Tamisha.
When we saw the shooting on TV, we started to wonder, was Sierra in that area?
I didn't think my sister was there because her job was to be in the field.
I called her throughout the whole day. I'm watching and praying and hoping for the best.
And then as it got later and later, we started calling emergency rooms. That night was a horrible night, waiting.
And that's when it dawned on me that I might not be able to see my baby again.
The next day, got a call from her mother, and her mother said that she was gone. I had to break the news to my husband, and it was awful. You can't imagine the horror.
I still can't believe it. It's been 4 days worth of crying. It's not day by day, it's second by second.
I'm still in shock. It just doesn't seem real. I keep thinking that one day she's gonna text me and be like, that wasn't me. I'm okay.
She didn't lose her life. Her life was taken. But her memory and the spirit of Sierra will never, ever die.
I can't even imagine, as a father, I just cannot even imagine what you must be going through at this point as parents. And has this sunken in yet, what has happened?
I feel that she's still with me, and she will always be with me. I can't allow myself to believe that she's not with me. You know, as days go by, it becomes a little more real that I won't be able to tell her that I love her. I'm living this 1 second at a time.
How did y'all find out what had happened? How did the news get to you?
Well, we were watching Wednesday when it happened, and we just started going, okay, is Sierra in that area? Because she's an environmental specialist. And so so time went on and on and on, and we were texting. And then on Thursday, her mother called, and she said she was gone. And I had to break the news to my husband. So it was a horrible, horrible, horrible. It's hard.
Tamisha, how long had it been since you had spoken with Sierra?
I had spoke to her the week before. We were having a sister-to-sister conversation about life in general. The whole situation just seemed surreal. And I happened to be watching it on the news, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening here in the United States, and I hope whoever's family members that is, that they're okay. And the next day, a reporter reached out to me, asking me if they could ask me questions about Sierra. I said, wait a minute, that's my sister, what are you talking about? I immediately went and searched my sister's name to try to find out some information, and when I did that, there was a post about her missing. And then I texted her, and I said, Sierra, are you okay? And that was the last message I sent to her, because I didn't know that she was gone at that moment. And then I got a phone call saying that she was gone. It was the most horrific news of my life. That's nothing that you would expect to hear at all. And plus, she's my little sister, so, you don't expect that your younger sibling is going to go before you. When I got the news, I became immediately hysterical, and it's nothing that I would wish upon anyone.
Our world is worse off by a quantum leap because this young woman is not here.
She was just so special, and, she was my sunshine. When she was a little girl, I wrote a song that says, you are my sunshine. You make my gray clouds go away. You brighten up my darkest day. Lord, don't ever take my sunshine away. We made a pact where we wouldn't tell each other goodbye. We'd say, see you later. Because we know we would always see each other again. And now I can't tell baby girl, see you later. I can't tell her that.
We don't want her to be a statistic. We want people to know that she's y'all's Sierra, and that's why we have these beautiful pictures of her wonderful spirit up. for everyone to see, because we don't want it to be a statistic. We want it to be this beautiful girl. All right, we're going to take a break. Another person who lost his life in San Bernardino shooting was 42-year-old Daniel. His partner Ryan says he believes Daniel died a hero. We'll meet Ryan after the break. We're talking with family and friends of some of the victims of the horrific mass shooting that took place last week in San Bernardino, California. 14 people were murdered that day, and one of them was 42-year-old Daniel. Daniel's boyfriend Ryan says they were together for 3 years, and the loss of his partner hasn't really hit him fully just yet.
Daniel worked at the Inland Regional Center as a job trainer for mentally disabled adults. I dropped Daniel off at work the day of the event.
We have 2 suspects, both dressed in black.
My sister text messaged me at approximately noon. You need to turn on the news. Something's happened. There's been a shooting.
It's the worst mass killing in the United States in 3 years.
I was in a frenzy and trying desperately to get a hold of Daniel. To no avail. Nobody had heard from Daniel. I was already fearing the worst. We got a visit from the coroner's office stating that they had positively identified his body on the scene. I have recently found out that somebody knew exactly where Daniel was. I was told that Daniel was actually in the hallway. He immediately started screaming and yelling for people to get out, hurry, and was ushering them towards the doors. And he actually ended up saving the lives of one employee of a company that visits the IRC, as well as 3 of their clients before he lost his life. This just meant the world to us because we knew that he died being Daniel. The one thing that I really want to get out is that we should not be judging all Muslims for the actions of a radical group. We all need to focus on working together in order to move forward and prevent these events from happening.
I'm just so terribly sorry for your loss. How did you find out about what had happened?
Well, originally, the beginning of the events, I found out via my sister. She had sent me a text message as I was getting ready to leave for a doctor's appointment, telling me to turn on the news because something had happened. So that was initially how I found out, but we did not find out about him having been one of the casualties until the next day when they were able to get in and actually identify the bodies.
Because they were afraid that there might be bombs inside the building, right?
Correct.
How do you feel about the people that did this?
When it comes to the specific people that perpetrated it, Daniel and I are of a faith that we don't believe in heaven or hell. But I'm telling you right now, if they believe that they went somewhere good, no, they did not. Now, do I think that that applies to an entire community of people? Definitely not. And I know Daniel would be just as heartbroken as I am, as far as we know how the Muslim community in general is going to be treated because of this.
So you think there's a lot of victims here?
I think there's a lot of victims here. A lot of victims.
Yeah, we were in some strange times, to say the least. So how do the loved ones left behind even begin the grieving process? We'll talk more about that after the break. Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. Well, I'm here with Tamisha, Kimberly, Gregory, and Ryan, all sadly and tragically impacted by what happened in San Bernardino just last week. And, you know, people always wonder, how do you start putting it back together after you have such a tragic loss like this. And, I always tell people that grieving is a process. And, first and foremost, just don't be in a hurry. But by the same token, you have to realize that it's not a betrayal to begin the healing process. And I say that because it's important to know how long you hurt, how long you cry, how long you grieve is not a reflection on how deeply you loved. You can honor your loved one by talking about their life. I mean, listen, don't let them be a source of pain. Talk about them. Talk about Sierra. Talk about Daniel. You have to ask yourself what the deceased would want you to do. Would they want you to move on? Because you've got to find meaning. You've got to find a purpose. And it really does help if you think about, what they would want you to do with the rest of your life. I send my heartfelt condolences to each person affected by the recent mass shootings in San Bernardino. Before we go, I just want to take a moment to remember Sierra and Daniel. Take a look.
To describe Sierra, you would have to take the best day of your life and all the joy that you had in that day and multiply it by 1,000,000. That was my baby.
Sierra's memory needs to be preserved. She was a beautiful person inside and out.
I want everybody to know that Daniel was an amazing, amazing man. He was very, very compassionate and loving and caring.
Sierra was always welcoming and happy and loving.
He was literally a friend to the world.
We want to make sure that Sierra is never forgotten. We want to make sure that the other people who were a part of this, their family members who died, that they're also never forgotten.
I want to say Sierra's family has set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for a proper memorial for this precious family member. If you'd like to donate, you can go to GoFundMe.com/Sierra Claiborne, M-E-M. And if you want to help with that, please do so. I certainly plan to do so. I'd like to thank my guests today for being here. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.